there are actually far less genuinely high-value men than there are pretty girls. You can go to any club in any country in the world. I've been to 72 countries. You can go to any club in any country in the world and see pretty girls. If you're gonna find a young, in shape, smart, tall, intelligent, rich man, it's extremely difficult to find. And that man has options. He has more options than a beautiful girl. And I'll tell you something.
There's always been a large proportion of men in the world who made the choice to stay where they are. And life for them wasn't that bad. But as we reach the future and as time goes on, you're gonna notice now that the people who don't chase having a masculine network, if they're not gonna be excellent upon themselves and they're not gonna be plugged into a serious circle of achievers, their life's gonna become terrible. You could just be a normal dude and your life really wasn't that bad. But now we live in a situation where you just can't just be a normal dude anymore. Being a normal dude is no longer an option.
So as a man, you have to be doing something to try and improve your status. There's lots of different ways to do it, right? But if you're a man with truly no status in society, now it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So you have to understand that as a man, you got to gear your life in a certain way. One of the easiest ways to get status is who you know, right? A lot of it's networking, and if you know the right people, you can get some status at least off of them to some degree. Every single man on earth with enough work can become one. That's the counter side, right? So there is hope at the end of the tunnel, but you gotta get up and do it.
You know what I truly think a high value man is? Okay, it's a few things, right? So there's the obvious evolutionary triggers. The easiest way to be a high value man is a man who's capable of violence. If we look at it from a biological trigger, it doesn't matter if he's got muscles or he's big or he's tall or whatever. Women understand from a biological perspective, they like a man who can fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if your man had money, a Ferrari, everything, but if you knew for a fact, if any dude stepped to him, he'd get sparked, you wouldn't want him. Right, so that's the first thing. We're suffering from cowardice. We talk about all the problems in the world. It's easy to talk about them all, but you can narrow them all down to the exact same thing. Cowardice, masculine cowardice, all of it. All of this is masculine cowardice. That's all it is.
You're not going to be able to imitate being a G. You have to go out there and you have to suffer as a man. You got to go through trauma to be a G as a man. Too many dudes out here are trying to imitate. That's what all this is. You're talking about game. You're trying to be something you're not. The real game is to be the man. That's the game. As a man, you need to go through trauma. You need to go through difficult periods. You need to go through things which are extremely uncomfortable to become any kind of man of value. Every single woman on this panel, if you were to ask her to describe the kind of man she wants, she would describe a man who she thinks makes her feel safe, who is dominating, who is smart, who is charismatic, who is interesting, etc. You cannot be all of those things by accident. Any man who grows up with a very, very easy life, who never goes through anything, who's born with a silver spoon in his mouth is the exact kind of punk which these women don't want to touch, right? As a man, you need to suffer and you will survive, and you need to internalize it, not become a weirdo, accept that the trauma is going to make you strong enough to become the kind of man that's respected by society, and you need to use it for your own advantage. As a man, if you have not been through extremely difficult processes, you're never going to be a high value man. So when you ask me that question, the answer is an answer you're not hoping for, because likely you've been avoiding trauma your whole life.
Life is difficult. Everyone has bad news all the time. The things happen to people, and things are going to happen to everyone. And even if you live the perfect life, you're still going to have bad experiences because everything's relative. When people talk about toxic masculinity and all this garbage and we need to make men more feminine, that's not going to make men, it's not going to make the world safer. Having a whole bunch of men who give into their emotions instantly is going to create more monsters. The reality of masculinity is controlling your emotions. This is the reality of being a man. The tenets of masculinity since the dawn of time have been, I was afraid, but I did it anyway. This is the tenets of masculinity. Courage. That's what courage is. I was afraid to storm the beaches of Normandy, but I did it anyway. I was afraid to stay on the Titanic, but I did it anyway. This is the whole tenets of masculinity. I'm at a point now where I'm working for, it's pointless. Money's just fruitless. I don't need it. But I can't not do it. I have to. I don't know why I am exactly the way I am. Because I'm a very happy person, but I'm not content. Does that make sense? I'm very happy. I'm not miserable. I'm not depressed in any way. I'm super happy, but also I'm not content.
There is no quick fix. There is no replication. There is no way you can falsify on a long enough timeline. So the answer is, if you want to be a man of distinction, you need to go and suffer. That's your answer.
One of the only things in this world you can control is your state of mind. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't even control your health. One of the very few things in the world you have genuine control over is your state of mind. You decide if you're a disciplined person. You decide if you're a happy person. You decide if you're a depressed person. These are things that in real time you can affect in your brain. This is all you can control on Earth. If you can't control that, then you're just a feather in the wind. and life's gonna blow you around and you might land somewhere good, you might land, you don't, nobody knows. I was a 4-time kickboxing world champion. For 12 years, I trained 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was motivated to train probably about 25% of the time. The rest of the time I went because I am disciplined.